Hey guys, imagine this. You're 20 years old, you've survived boot camp, maybe even a few island landings. But this one feels different. You're standing on the deck of a ship off the coast of Okinawa. It's April 1945. The air's thick with salt, diesel and dread. You're squinting into the distance at a strip of land that doesn't look like much, but you already know it's going to kill tens of thousands. You're not seasick this time. That was weeks ago. Now, you're just hollow, sunburned, sleep-deprived, covered in grime that doesn't wash off even if you wanted it to. The guy next to you is smoking through cracked lips. Another is praying into his fist. You're just staring, waiting. Because this isn't just another island. This is the doorstep to Japan. And they're going to defend it like hell. You've got a pack that weighs too much, a rifle that still smells like rust, and orders that boil down to one word: advance. The ocean's calm, but you don't trust it. Nothing feels calm when you know what's coming. And what's coming is the most brutal, soul-draining, sanity-erasing battle the US has ever fought. This isn't a story about winning. It's a story about surviving. Barely. If you want more stories like this, hit like and subscribe. It helps us keep bringing them to life. Now close your eyes. You're not in your bed anymore. You're not watching a video. You're on a landing craft. And the island is getting closer. It's not making a sound. But it's waiting. And you're going straight into the worst 10 weeks of your life. You've never heard silence like this before. Not peaceful silence. Not the quiet of a chapel or a midnight field. This is before the storm silence. The kind that sits on your chest like a hand made of iron. You're packed shoulder to shoulder with men who look just like you. Tired. Dirty. Way too young to be marching into hell. Some chew gum. Some fidget with packs. One guy is tracing the shape of a woman's name into the grime on his helmet. No, you can't remember the last time you felt clean, or safe, or anything but waiting. Your boots are soaked in salt water and oil. Your fingers twitch around the grip of your rifle. You keep checking it even though you know it's loaded. It's habit now, ritual, the only control you have left. You've heard about Okinawa. Everyone has. They say it's big. They say it's different. They say the Japanese have been digging into it for years. Miles of caves, tunnels under hills, mortars in trees, snipers in the grass. They call it the Typhoon of Steel. And you're about to find out why. The landing craft shifts. The hull creaks. A voice barks an order above deck, too calm for what's about to happen. You know that voice. The calm ones always belong to the officers. The ones who stand behind you when the ramp drops. You shift your weight. Your gear presses against your shoulders like a jealous ghost. 80 pounds of ammo, grenades, canteen, rations, useless maps, a photo, some letters you haven't had the guts to read yet, all strapped to your spine like someone else's guilt. The boat slows. Your stomach tightens. 10 minutes, someone yells. No one answers. What would you even say? There's no music, no battle cry, no speech to fire you up. There's just the slosh of the sea and the pounding of your heart. You wonder if the enemy can hear it. This mechanical crawl toward destruction. You grip the side of the craft. It's warm, metal baking in the sun. You glance over at Harris, still alive, still beside you. He meets your eyes and gives the smallest nod. You nod back. That's how men say, if you go, I go. If I go, tell someone I didn't run. The boat lurches again. The water's too blue for a battlefield. Too clean. You almost want to believe it's just another beach. That this is just another drill. that in a few hours you'll be setting camp, maybe even smoking a cigarette and laughing about how tense you were. But then you see it, the shoreline, green hills, rocky ridges, a village maybe, but no people. Just shapes, just shadows, just things that could be waiting to kill you. And that's the giveaway, because you've learned this. The enemy doesn't show themselves. Not at first. They let you come, let you think maybe it's safe. And then they bleed you dry. You check your rifle one more time. You tell yourself it's ready. You tell yourself you're ready. But you're not. You never are. There's a clicking noise from above. Artillery setting up. Navy guns locking in. The big boys. You feel the tremble in your boots before you hear it. And when the shells hit, it doesn't sound like thunder. It sounds like the sky ripping open. Boom, boom, boom. Shells hit the shoreline in rhythmic destruction. The hills vanish under smoke and flame. You want to believe it's helping, that it's clearing the way, that there'll be nothing left alive when you hit the beach. But you know better. They're not amateurs. They're not running. They're waiting. 5 minutes, that one comes closer, louder, urgent. Someone crosses themselves. Someone else retches into their pack. No one says a word. You think about your mum. Her cooking, her laugh, her hands always warm, always busy. You wonder if she'll know what happened to you if you don't make it back. If they'll tell her you were brave. If they'll even know your name. You pull your helmet tighter. It still doesn't fit right. Harris is muttering something under his breath. You strain to hear. It's not a prayer. His baseball stats again. God, you hope he makes it. You both do. The boat jolts, slows, metal clanks, chains rattle. Someone whispers, "Here we go." Someone else whispers back, "Shut up." You're at the line now, the edge. The moment where you stop being a name and start being a number. The moment where everything you were son, brother, boyfriend, clerk disappears. The moment you become just another body on a beach no one remembers. The ramp is still up, but the light's changing. You can see it, that flicker of sun through the cracks. A flash of movement on the hills. Maybe nothing. Maybe not. Your throat is dry. You can't swallow. The sergeant walks past. His face is carved from stone. "First in, first out," he says. "You all know the drill." But you don't. Not this one. This isn't Tarawa or Saipan. This is Okinawa. And everything is different here. The ramp starts to move. That sound, that metal scream, it's worse than the gunfire. Because it means there's no more hiding. You brace. The sun hits your face like a spotlight. The air smells like salt and cordite. And for half a second you see it. The island, the surf, the scorched earth, the wreckage, the craters, the bunkers, the smoke, the silence. And then someone shouts, "Go." The ramp drops. Not with drama, not with warning. Just crashes down. And silence dies instantly. The air explodes with sound gunfire, screams, waves slamming steel, the high-pitched whine of something incoming. The craft jerks, someone ahead stumbles, someone else doesn't move at all. Because the first men out, they're already gone. Cut down in the blink between go and gone. Bullets rake the front of the landing craft, thwack, 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 like metal fingers dragging across skulls. You flinch. Too late. You feel something wet hit your cheek. You hope it's seawater. It isn't. You move, because that's what you were trained to do. Not heroically, not fast, just forward. Your legs are slow, like they're arguing with the rest of you. You jump or fall into the water. Doesn't matter which. You're under instantly. The sea swallows you whole. Cold, dark, heavy. Your gear drags you down like it's sick of the war too. You panic. Flail. Your boot kicks something softer body maybe. The water's full of them. You surface with a choking gasp that tastes like oil and salt and fear. You suck in air, then choke again. The waves don't care that you're drowning. Around you the ocean is chaos. Men screaming, men sinking, some already floating. Helmets bob like severed heads. Rifles sink. Packs turn into anchors. One guy thrashes next to you, webbing caught across his chest going under. You want to help. You really do. But you can't. Because your hands are still trying to save you. Another burst of machine gun fire slices the surface nearby. You hear it pop, pop, pop like needles through flesh. You dive, or you get pulled, doesn't matter. You ditch your pack. It takes too long. One strap's jammed, you yank, you scream, you curse. It gives. You surface again, gasp, cough. You can't tell what's water and what's blood. The beach is still yards away. It might as well be a continent. You paddle, crawl, swim, drag. One boot's still on, the other's somewhere in the Pacific. Your rifle bangs against your leg like it's judging your decisions. You make it to a shallow spot, knees hit sand. You crawl. Everything burns. You don't look behind you. You don't want to see who didn't make it. You hear voices, commands, shouting. You can't tell what anyone's saying. Your ears are full of ocean. The sand under your hands is rough. Not beach sand, not warm. It's coarse, sharp, full of debris. You slip again. A mortar hits 30 feet ahead. The ground jumps. Water flies. You hit the deck instinctively, belly first into sand that tastes like gunpowder and rot. You bite down on something hard. A rock. Maybe a tooth. You look up. The beach is a nightmare. No cover. Just open ground. Craters. Smoke. Bits of men. The Japanese aren't on the beach. They're in the hills, in bunkers, in caves, watching, waiting, killing. You make it to the surf line. Your knees sink. Your hands dig. You find a crater. Crawl inside. 3 other guys are already there. 2 are wounded. 1 isn't moving. No one talks. You breathe like you've never done it before. Each inhale is a battle. Your ribs hurt. Your throat's raw. You reload even though you haven't fired a single round. Because having a full magazine makes you feel like you still matter. Another landing craft explodes offshore. The pieces rain down. Metal, wood, flesh. A boot lands 10 feet away, still tied. You stare at it too long. Someone taps your shoulder. It's Harris. He's drenched, bleeding from the ear. Eyes wide, mouth tight. But he's alive. You good? He says. You nod. You're not good. But what's the alternative? Another shell lands. Closer. The guy next to you takes shrapnel in the chest. He doesn't scream. He just slumps. Harris pulls you up by the collar. Move. You move. You follow him across open sand like idiots sprinting through a lightning storm. There's nowhere to hide. Just scattered tank traps and shattered debris. You dive behind something metal. It's a landing ramp half buried, charred black. You huddle behind it. Harris beside you. Bullets spark off the other side like rain on a tin roof. You peek up. The cliffs are alive with fire. Muzzle flashes. Smoke. Dust. They're dug in. Deep. Mortars fall again. You don't even duck this time. You just flinch. The next crater is 15 feet away. You run for it. Halfway there, a man falls beside you, face down, helmet gone. You keep going, because stopping isn't an option. You dive, land hard, elbow first. It pops. You feel it. Pain like a knife through your shoulder, but it moves, so it's not broken. Someone shouts, "We need smoke." You don't have any. No one does. Someone else yells, "Where's the armour?" You laugh. It's dry, bitter, pointless. There's no armour yet. They're still stuck at sea. Shells falling too close. You press your face into the sand, and you finally understand. There's no such thing as a safe arrival. The water tried to kill you. The beach is trying harder. And the hills are just getting started. You thought the beach was bad. You were wrong. You leave the surf behind, crawl past the craters and the broken men. The sand ends, the hills begin, and everything gets worse. The ground turns soft. Not mud, not yet. Just that sticky kind of earth that grabs your boots like it doesn't want you to go anywhere. But you go anyway, because there's nowhere else to be. The shooting hasn't stopped. It just moved inland. Machine guns bark from hidden ridges. Snipers hit men like puppets getting their strings cut. Mortars fall, without rhythm, always just close enough to keep your nerves frayed. You advance in fits and starts, a sprint, a crawl, a belly slide through weeds and scorched grass. Your uniform sticks to you like skin that doesn't belong. Your socks are soaked again. You're not even sure from what. Behind you, smoke chokes the beach. Ahead, jungle, rocks, graves waiting to be filled. You hear shouting from up the slope. You move toward it, rifle up, heart hammering. As you round a bend, you see it. A man trying to dig out another from a pile of mud. Only it's not mud, it's blood. And pieces of things that used to be men. The slope gave out when the last shell hit, buried them both. One screaming, the other isn't. You can't help. You don't even try. Because the moment you stop moving, you're next. Harris is still with you. Barely. His eyes have that faraway look, like he's seeing something that hasn't happened yet or already happened to someone else. You wave him forward. He follows, silently, automatically, like a ghost that hasn't figured out it's dead. The ground gets worse the deeper in you go. Not just wet, now soggy. The kind of mud that grabs your ankles and tries to steal your boots with every step. You trudge through it. Every footfall a negotiation. Every breath a prayer, even if you stopped believing in anything days ago. The air smells wrong. Rot. Smoke. Oil. You don't know where one ends and the next begins. You pass a Japanese corpse, twisted, charred, still holding his weapon. You don't look at his face. You can't. Because if you do, you'll remember he was just a man too. You push forward. An order comes down the line. Secure the ridge. What ridge? You look up. It's not a hill, it's a nightmare. Steep, rocky, covered in brush. Perfect for snipers. Perfect for ambush. You go anyway. Because the alternative is just standing still and dying where you are. Halfway up you slip. Your knee hits a sharp root. It tears through your pants, skin, muscle. You scream, bite your fist. Taste blood. Harris helps you up. Doesn't say anything. Just pulls you forward. You reach the top. Duck behind a stone outcrop. Your breath comes in shallow bursts. Your ribs ache. You check your leg torn, but not broken. Bleeding, but not pouring. Could be worse. Always could be worse. You scan the ridge. Bodies. American, Japanese. Tangled, frozen, rotting. The sun's out, but it doesn't warm anything. It just cooks. The stench rises in waves. You gag. Turn away. Keep moving, because stopping means thinking, and thinking means remembering, and remembering means you might not move again. You reach a crater that wasn't there yesterday. Inside water. Dark. Stagnant. Smells like rust. You think, don't drink it. You drink it anyway. It's warm. Tastes like pennies. You don't care. You press on. A sniper opens up from somewhere in the trees. A guy behind you drops. Neck shot. Clean. Final. You hit the ground. Crawl. Listen. You hear the shot again. Crack. Echo. Silence. You don't shoot back. You don't even know where to aim. You move. Low. Slow. Through wet leaves and broken branches. And that's when the mud takes you. Just your left boot at first. Then your whole leg. You yank. It holds. You curse. Yank again. You fall. Face first. Mouthful of mud and leaves and something you hope isn't bone. You scramble. Dig. Kick. Your boot stays behind. You crawl out limping, filthy, barefoot on one side. And somehow, that's funny. You laugh. Quiet. Bitter. Useless. Harris looks at you like you've cracked. You probably have. You reach a flat patch someone tried to set up a command post here. All that's left is a shredded tent and a blood-soaked map. You kneel. Catch your breath. Listen. Everything's quieter now, but not safe. Never safe. Harris mutters, "This place wasn't made for people." You nod, because he's right. Okinawa isn't a battlefield. It's a butcher shop with a skyline. You hear movement in the trees. Clicking, rustling. Too soft for boots. You freeze. Then a face. A child. Half naked. Eyes hollow. He stares at you. Says nothing. You lower your rifle. He vanishes. Just like that. You're not sure if he was real. You press on anyway. Because mud or no mud, blood or no blood, this island doesn't stop. You move forward, one limp step at a time. The slope rises again. The trees close in. And Okinawa whispers something you already know. You don't belong here. But you're here anyway. And the only way out is through. You've been on Okinawa for 5 days. Or maybe 2. Or maybe 12. Time doesn't mean anything here. There's no sunrise, no sunset, just smoke and haze and the endless grey smear of sky that never clears. You don't know what day it is. You stop checking. The only way you count time now is by the number of men who were with you yesterday, and aren't today. The island is quiet this morning, which means it's about to get loud. You're tucked behind a ridge, your back pressed into the mud, your rifle across your lap like a sleeping dog that bites. Harris is next to you, chewing on something that used to be food. He's not even tasting it anymore, just chewing for the sake of motion. No one talks much now. Your voice feels foreign, like it doesn't belong here. What does belong? Mud, death, the smell of burning canvas, the flies that land on your arms and refuse to leave, and the island, always the island, because this isn't just a place, it's a thing that breathes and eats and waits. They said Okinawa would be a hard fight, but they didn't say it would swallow you. Every ridge has another ridge behind it. Every cave has another entrance. Every patch of jungle hides something sharp, something loaded, something watching. You don't see them, not until they open fire. And even then, they don't come out. They just disappear again. Like the island opens up and pulls them back in. You shift in the dirt, trying to stretch without drawing attention. Your spine cracks. You don't feel better. A voice crackles on the radio. Barely legible. Something about movement to the north, or maybe to the east. It doesn't matter. It always ends in the same place. Forward. The word advance used to sound like progress. Now it just means more pain. The lieutenant calls for a recon team. You don't volunteer. But that doesn't stop him. Reyes, Brooks, Harris, you're up. Of course you are. You nod. You don't speak. You grab your gear and move. Low and slow. Always low and slow. The ground here punishes tall people and heroes. You pass what used to be a foxhole. Now it's a shallow grave. 2 helmets rest on the edge. One cracked, one missing its strap. No one moves to bury them. They've already been swallowed. You head into the trees. They get thicker, closer. Each branch feels like a finger on your neck. Harris mutters, "Why does it always feel like the island's listening?" You want to say something. You don't, because it is. Every time you breathe too loud, something cracks in the distance. Every time you whisper, the leaves shift just a little, like the jungle is leaning in. You reach a clearing. Not open, just less closed. You hold up your fist. Stop. The others crouch. Wait. You scan. Dead goats. Maybe 3, maybe 4. Torn apart, but not by bullets. By something else. Knives, blades, teeth. You're not sure. Harris steps closer. Booby trap, he says. You shake your head. You don't think so. But thinking doesn't mean much out here. The clearing feels wrong. Like you're standing in the mouth of something that hasn't decided whether to chew yet. You wave them on. Keep moving. Deeper into the jungle's throat. There's no trail. Only shapes. You push through the brush with your forearm, thorns biting through your sleeve. Your boots sink half a step every time you move. The ground isn't mud anymore. It's wet rot. You wonder how many bodies are under you. How many soldiers ended up face down here, their bones turning soft, their names melting away into dirt. You trip. Fall hard. Hands first. Right into a pit. Not deep just enough to hurt. Your arm twists. Your rifle hits the ground. You hear a click. You freeze. Harris freezes. Brooks freezes. No one breathes. The click was metal. You look down. Tripwire. Rusty. Tight. Your heel barely grazed it. You whisper, "Don't move." No one does. You reach into your pack. Slowly. Pull a knife. You're shaking. You cut the wire 1 strand at a time. It snaps. Nothing happens. You exhale. Almost smile. Then something explodes behind you. A second trap. Buried, delayed, hidden. Brooks disappears in a spray of reddened smoke. You hit the ground, ears ringing, mouth full of blood. Yours? Someone else's? Doesn't matter. You crawl toward the smoke. Brooks is gone. There's nothing left to help. Harris grabs your arm. We have to go. You nod. Not because you agree, but because he's right. You move. The jungle gets tighter, darker. You don't know where you are. You don't care, because every second you stay still, the island pulls harder. You reach a ridge, collapse behind a fallen tree. Your hands are shaking so hard you can't reload. Harris does it for you. Silently. That's what friends are now. Reload partners. Ghost witnesses. You close your eyes. You want to sleep. Not rest, just disconnect. But you can't. Because the island won't let you. The island remembers everyone. It keeps their boots, their helmets, their teeth. It buries them deep and waits for the next. You look around, and you realize You're not just on Okinawa. You're in it, inside it. And the only way you'll leave is if it lets you. You used to look up and see hope. Sky meant planes. Planes meant support. Air cover, artillery, rescue. If something flew overhead, you thought maybe it was on your side. Not anymore. Now, the sky is a graveyard with wings. You hear them before you see them. Engines low, fast, mean. That buzz isn't like the American fighters. This one screams, wails, like it knows it's not coming back. You look up. 3 of them. Not high, not weaving, just diving, straight toward the fleet. Kamikaze. You've heard the stories. Planes stuffed with fuel and death. Pilots with nothing left to lose. Men who strapped bombs to their own futures and pointed them at yours. Now it's real. You're crouched behind a shattered farmhouse wall, watching the sky burn. Naval guns open up from the coast. You feel the thud, thud, thud even this far inland. Tracer rounds scream upward, carving invisible fences through the clouds. One plane hits burst like a fireworks show from hell. The others keep going. One vanishes behind the ridge. Then, boom! The shockwave rolls through the jungle like a slap. You feel it in your chest, your ribs, your jaw. Somewhere out there, a ship just died. Hundreds of men with it. You think about how strange it is. A man with a plane, with a face, with a name decided to die just to make sure someone else did too. You duck as another fighter tears overhead. Close enough that you see the pilot's goggles. He's not aiming at you, but you flinch anyway, because out here, everything flies with hate. You're not near the coast anymore, but it doesn't matter. The kamikaze don't care where the line is. Every crater, every column of smoke, every blown-apart foxhole, it all started with a man in a cockpit who decided his last heartbeat belonged to war. You reach a new position near the ridgeline. 2 Marines crouch beside the radio, one shouting, the other staring at the sky. You ask, air support? They laugh. One dry, one bitter. Air's too busy putting out fires. Hours. You nod. Of course. Because even when the sky's on your side, it's not always with you. Another explosion lights the horizon. Orange. Bright. Close. Harris drops into cover beside you. They hit a supply ship. You ask how he knows. He doesn't answer. Doesn't need to. Because the ground is shaking. And that only happens when something big and full of everything you need gets turned into firewood. You want to scream at the sky. Tell it to pick a side. But you don't. Because you know better. Out here, nothing is sacred. Not the sky. Not the sea. Not the flag you sleep under. Or the language you shout orders in. Every element wants you dead. And the men who fly those planes, they don't flinch. They don't miss. They don't come back. One crashes into a hillside 2 clicks away. The impact hurls smoke 100 feet high. A moment later, rifle fire from that hill, Japanese troops, waiting for the distraction. You sprint across the clearing. Bullets crack past your head like thrown nails. You dive behind a tree, shoulder first. A branch shatters just above you. Bark in your eyes, sap on your hands. You blink, spit, keep moving, because there's nowhere to go but forward. You reach a crater. Harris jumps in behind you. He's panting, bleeding from the knuckles. Where the hell are the planes? He asks, and then laughs, like it was a joke. You laugh too. Because it's either that or break. You look at the sky again. It's not blue. It's not calm. It's a lid, a cage, a ceiling of smoke that keeps getting lower every time something explodes. You lie back in the crater and listen. Faint buzz, distant rumble. Another one's coming. You don't duck. You just lie there. Because you know by now, if it's meant for you, it'll find you. Kamikaze don't miss on purpose. You hear someone whisper nearby. Imagine hating someone so much, you die just to kill them. You don't answer, because that's not imagination anymore. That's daily life. You think about what the pilots see, as they dive, as they grip the stick, as the ocean rushes up and the flak tears past the wings and their body knows what's about to happen. You wonder if they cry, if they close their eyes, if they pray, or if they smile. You don't know what's worse. Another explosion near the shoreline. The trees sway. Birds scatter. Men duck instinctively. Harris doesn't move. You look over. He's watching the sky again. But not with fear. With respect. Because even though those planes are here to kill you, you almost admire them. Almost. You wipe your face. Stand. Shoulder your weapon. You hear a voice from command. We move at dusk. Of course you do. You always move at dusk. Because that's when the sky gets tired. When the fighters go home. When the bombers reload. But the kamikaze? They never go home. They are the bomb. You look up one more time, and all you see is smoke. Smoke and the memory of wings. You thought you'd made it. Past the beach, past the mud, past the worst of it. You were wrong, because now the hills are shooting back, and they don't miss. You're moving uphill again, not steep just enough to punish your legs and lungs. Brush thick around your knees, tree roots tangled like tripwires. You're ducking, crawling, praying with every step, because somewhere up there, they're watching. You haven't seen them, not once, but they've seen you. That first burst comes without warning. Crack, crack, crack. 3 men drop before anyone even hits the dirt. No warning, no muzzle flash, just bam, bam, bam and silence. Your mouth goes dry. You dive into a shallow trench that smells like old socks and burned rubber. Harris is right behind you, panting like he ran through a furnace. You ask him, where the hell are they? He shakes his head. No one knows. That's the thing about Okinawa. It doesn't fight fair. You squint up the ridge, trees, rocks, ferns, a ridgeline that's just too still. Then flash. Left side, barely visible. Another burst. The trench next to you explodes in dust and splinters. Someone screams. Someone stops. You roll. Shoulder your rifle. Fire back 3, maybe 4 rounds. Into nothing. Because the hill eats your bullets and gives you nothing in return. The lieutenant's voice shouts down the line. Smoke! Flank left! Flank where? You don't see a flank, you see meat grinder terrain. But you nod, because you don't get to ask questions anymore, you just move. You and Harris sprint through the brush. Your boots catch roots, your helmet bounces against your skull. Everything feels too loud. Your breath, your heartbeat, the wind through your teeth. Another berth, this time from the right. New angle. You hit the ground again. Eat dirt. Spit blood. They're not in one spot. They're everywhere. Every rock is a bunker. Every hill is a trap. The Japanese aren't just dug in. They're buried. Nested. Layered. Whole networks of tunnels and murder holes and concrete mouths spitting lead. You fire into the trees again. Pointless. You could empty your whole rifle and not hit a thing. Someone yells, suppressing fire. So you shoot. Even though you know it's for show. Because if you don't shoot, you're just another silhouette waiting for a bullet. You crawl toward a berm made of shattered logs. Its cover barely. You slide in next to another Marine. He's shaking. You look down, blood all over his thigh, soaked through. He meets your eyes and says one word. Trap. You nod. Because of course it is. The whole hill is one big breathing trap. You reload. Your fingers shake, your thumbs are numb, your magazine jams for a half second too long. You slam it home. Pull the bolt. Fire. You don't care what you're aiming at. You just want the shooting to stop. Another shell lands behind you. Closer this time. The tree explodes. Bark becomes shrapnel. You're on your back, ears ringing, nose bleeding. You taste copper. You cough. You check your limbs. Still there. Miracle. Harris grabs you. Pulls you up. Shouts. Left. Move. You move. Over a ridge. Into a ditch. And that's when you see it in a pillbox. Camouflaged in brush. Mouth open. Black as hell. Inside movement. Shadows. A flash of a barrel. Grenade, Harris shouts. You grab one from your belt. Pull the pin. Count to. You don't remember how far you're supposed to count. You throw it anyway. It arcs. Lands just short. The blast shakes the earth. Not enough. You curse. Harris pulls his. Tosses. This one's better. Boom. Smoke. Screams. You charge. Why? Because you have to. You reach the opening and fire point blank into it. 3 shots. 4. A scream. Then silence. You slide behind the wreckage. Your chest heaves. Your hands are shaking. Inside, the pillbox is scorched. You don't look too close. You don't want to know what's left. The lieutenant calls over the radio. Ridge is ours. Is it? You look around. 10 men started up this hill. You count 5, maybe 6. You sit down, just for a second. The sun breaks through the smoke. A shaft of golden light. It hits the hillside like it's trying to apologize. Too late. You press your back against the concrete and feel the heat. Not from the sun, from the gun, from the men who lived and died in this little pocket of hell. You close your eyes, and the hill speaks, not in words, in memory, in spent casings and powder burns and blood that won't wash out of your boots. Fire from the hills. That's what this is. Not war, not battle, just fire. And the slow, methodical way it teaches you. This island never gives anything back. Not even silence. You're not walking forward anymore. You're threading a needle through hell. The Shuri line isn't a battle line. It's not trenches. It's not open ground. It's a maze. A system of caves, ridges, tunnels and bunkers all stacked on top of each other, like some nightmare Jenga tower built by men who knew you were coming. You thought you'd push through. You thought one big final assault would break them. You thought wrong. You're not breaking anything. You're clawing your way through a spider web, while the spider throws grenades. And the worst part, you don't even know where the edges are. You're somewhere near the village of Shuri, what's left of it, though village doesn't feel like the right word. It's ruins now. Rubble and broken stone walls and doorways that lead nowhere. You haven't seen a civilian in days. Not alive, anyway. Just eyes in the dark. Sometimes watching. Sometimes gone before you can be sure they were ever there. It's quiet now. Too quiet. You're crouched in a shallow depression between 2 hills. Your face is streaked with dirt and something darker. You've got 5 rounds left in your rifle and no idea when you'll be resupplied. Harris is to your right, scrawling something in a notebook. You ask him what. He says, trying to remember where we came in. You nod. Good luck with that. The Shuri line doesn't let you retrace your steps. It turns every hill into 3 more, every bunker into a dead end, every cave into a mouth that closes after you go in. You move out. The jungle here is tighter, the rock sharper. You duck under a vine that smells like smoke and rot. There's a cave entrance ahead. It's small, hidden behind a shattered boulder, a dark mouth carved into the side of the hill. You don't want to go in, but you don't have a choice. The lieutenant says the Japanese are using them to flank, to store ammo, to live. You're here to clear it. You switch your rifle to your left shoulder, draw your sidearm. Flashlight ready. Harris lights one too. You step inside, the temperature drops 10 degrees. The air changes, goes heavy, damp, stale. Your boots crunch something dry. You don't look down. The flashlight flickers. You whisper to Harris. How deep? He shrugs. No one knows. That's the worst part. They could be 5 feet ahead, or 50, or 100 watching you, breathing you in. You move deeper. The walls are rough limestone, scratched with marks, symbols, clawing. You shine the light down, see a helmet, Japanese, still worn, still full. You keep moving. The tunnel forks, left or right. You pick left, because right feels worse. The path narrows. You duck lower. Your back scrapes the ceiling. Your breath echoes like gunshots. You hear a sound up ahead, not voices, not movement, breathing. You freeze. Harris freezes. You kill the flashlight. Pitch black. Then a whisper of motion. A footstep. Too close. You raise your pistol. A figure steps into the faint ambient light from the tunnel mouth. You don't think. You fire. Once. Twice. The sound is deafening. Concrete and bone. The body drops. Thumps once. Then still. Harris clicks his light back on. You check. Japanese soldier. Young, maybe 18, maybe less. No weapon in his hands. Doesn't matter. He was coming toward you. That's enough. You exhale. Your hands shaking. Your ears are ringing. You move on. You're not done. Not even close. You reach a small chamber. 3 exits. No map. The smell is worse here. Burnt rubber, mould, rotting cloth. Harris points to the far tunnel. Looks fresher. You nod. Even though you have no idea what fresh means anymore. You step through. Tripwire. You barely see it in time. You stop. Hold up your hand. Harris crouches. Cuts it. You keep moving. It's not a cave anymore. It's a machine. A giant stone organism designed to kill. You pass crates ammo, maybe? You don't touch them. You hear a voice. Japanese. Close. Then silence. You spin. No one's there. You check your 6. Clear. For now. Push on. At the far end, the tunnel widens again. You see light. Real light. A hole in the rock blown open by something bigger than you. You climb through it. Fresh air. You inhale. It burns. Smoke. Diesel. Blood. Outside there's a ridge. And on it a machine gun nest. Firing down into a ravine where your guys are stuck. Pinned. You raise your rifle. Aim. Fire. 2 shots. The second finds flesh. The gun goes silent. You drop behind cover. Harris tosses a smoke grenade. You both run down the slope back toward your unit. Back toward what passes for safety. You slide into the crater. The lieutenant shouts, "Tunnel cleared!" You don't answer, because cleared is the wrong word. You didn't clear anything. You survived a small part of it. That's it. You check your rounds, down to 1. You reload. Someone behind you sobs. Not loud, just broken. You glance back. New guy. Didn't even make it into the cave. Already halfway gone. You look up at the ridge. More caves, more bunkers, more holes in the earth pretending to be nothing. And you realise this isn't a battlefield. It's a labyrinth of teeth. And somewhere inside it, you've already left part of yourself behind. You're lying in a shell crater that smells like piss, mud, and metal. Your knees are drawn up to your chest. Your rifle's across your lap. Your eyes are open, but you're not seeing anything anymore. You've stopped thinking about the next hill. Stopped thinking about the next cave or the next order, or even the next bullet. You're thinking about size. Not yours. Not your units. Not even the islands. You're thinking about the war. The whole war. How big it is. How many moving pieces it has. How many maps and radios and ships and generals in rooms with chalkboards. How many planes flying right now. How many tanks rolling across countries you've never seen. And then you think about you. One guy. One dog tag. One canteen. One half-destroyed boot full of blood and sand and regret. You're not a soldier anymore. You're a dot. A speck in a storm so wide it can't see you, can't hear you, doesn't care whether you live or die. You look to your left. Harris is passed out. Or maybe just pretending. He does that now, shuts down, goes silent, goes inside himself. You envy him. The sky above you is the colour of metal. Not quite grey, not quite white. It doesn't change, doesn't move. Even the clouds are stuck. You wonder if the whole world is stuck. Like someone hit pause on everything except this island, except the killing, except the dying. You think about the men in charge, how far away they are, what they eat, whether they say your name when they make decisions, whether they even know it. You think about how many others are out here, not just in Okinawa, but in France, in Italy, in Burma, in goddamn Iceland for all you know. All of them crawling through mud with someone else's number pinned to their chest. You try to remember why you came here. The big reasons freedom, duty, flags don't hold water anymore. Not in this crater. Not with that smell. Not after what you saw yesterday. What you did yesterday. You try to think smaller. Mom, your sister, that girl who kissed you behind the drugstore. But even they feel like movie characters now. Too far away, too clean, too safe. You roll onto your back, stare at the sky. Listen, there's distant gunfire, but it doesn't feel like it's yours. Mortars, maybe. You stopped caring what made which sound. You've learned something about storms. The worst part isn't the thunder or the lightning. It's the stillness before it hits you. That breathless, soundless moment when everything waits. And you know something awful is about to come. You're stuck in that moment, over and over. Every minute of every day. You sit up slowly. Everything aches. Your feet are blistered. Your knees scream. Your shoulders stiff from where you hit it last week during a crawl you don't even remember clearly. You look down the ridge. Bodies. A few moving, most not. They don't register like they used to. They're part of the terrain now, like rocks, or trees, or old barbed wire. Your own body feels borrowed, like someone gave it to you for the day just to keep moving forward. You hear the lieutenant shouting, "We're advancing again! Get ready!" You almost laugh. Advance to where? You've been advancing for days and the line never moves. You take a hill, they take it back. You clear a cave, they're in another one 50 yards over. It's not war, it's erosion. You stand. Your legs hold, barely. You check your rifle, loaded. You don't remember reloading it. You don't remember half of what you've done lately. You shake Harris awake. He opens one eye, nods. No words. None needed. You start walking. Down the ridge. Toward the next ridge line. The next bunker. The next maybe. You pass a guy sitting against a tree. Dead. Eyes open. He looks peaceful. That's the worst part. You keep moving, because stopping is surrender. And not to the enemy. To the truth. The truth that you're just a number in someone else's plan. A speck. A shadow. A gear in a machine that doesn't know it's grinding you into the dirt. But you grind anyway. Because what else is there? You hear the explosion before you feel it. It's not distant. Not muffled. It's close. Close enough to throw dirt in your mouth. Close enough to make your ears scream. Close enough that you wonder for a second if this is it. You're on your back now, staring at the sky again. The same sky that hasn't changed since you landed. You blink. You taste blood. You sit up. Harris is on his knees next to you, eyes wide. "You good?" he shouts. You nod. You're not sure, but nodding is easier than thinking. The dust is still thick. You wave it away. And that's when you hear it. American voices. Screaming, arguing. One of them is yelling, "That was ours! That was ours!" Your heart drops, because you've heard those words before, and they never mean anything good. You crawl to the edge of the ridge. A dozen guys are in the open, scattered, confused, dragging bodies, and up on the hillside, an American tank. Still smoking. Still facing the wrong direction. Wrong hill, wrong target. And now 3 of your men are dead. Because of that. Friendly fire. The phrase sounds clean, almost harmless, but there's nothing friendly about it. You've lost more guys to mistakes than you care to admit. Bad coordinates, jumpy nerves, a misheard order. One guy pulls the trigger a second too soon and someone else's son doesn't go home. You push yourself up. Your knees hurt, your hands are shaking. You slide down the ridge to the wounded. One guy, McLean, is curled up, gasping, blood pouring from his thigh. "Medic!" someone shouts. No answer. Of course not. They're already dead, or overworked, or lost somewhere in the maze of hills behind you. You press your hand into McLean's wound. He screams. You keep pressing. He doesn't scream the second time. You don't look at his face. You don't want to see the part where his eyes go empty. Someone's yelling at the tank crew now. Cursing, screaming. Why didn't you check the goddamn signal? They're shouting back. Fog. We didn't see the panel. Thought it was enemy movement. It doesn't matter. Nothing they say is going to bring those guys back. You walk away. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to know how close you came to being one of the ones getting zipped into a bag by your own people. Because that's the part no one talks about. You can do everything right. Move when they tell you. Shoot when they say. Duck when you're supposed to. And still die because someone read a map upside down. War doesn't care about effort. It doesn't care about intent. It doesn't care if the bullet that hits you came from a friend. You stop behind a tree. Wipe your hands on your pants. Still bloody. Still shaking. You hear another voice over the radio. Command. Pull back to secondary line. Regroup. Regroup where? There is no line. There's no front anymore. Just clusters of men trying to stay alive long enough to be told what to do next. You find Harris again. He's got that look, the one he gets right before he loses it. You say nothing, just sit next to him. You both stare out at the wreckage. The broken tree line. The cratered ground. The tank still there, still useless. He finally speaks. They shot at us. You nod. They shot at us and they're not the enemy. You nod again. Then he says it. They didn't even say sorry. And that's what breaks you. Not the blood, not the death, not even the mistake. The silence afterward. The shrug. 'Cause that's all war really is, isn't it? One giant shrug. You reload your rifle, even though you haven't fired it in an hour. Even though the next round that kills someone might come from the same side of the line as you. Harris stands up. You follow, because you can't sit in it. Can't soak in it. Can't let the bad luck or the bad aim turn you into another ghost in uniform. You move out, back up the hill, back toward the chaos, back into the meat grinder, because that's the job. Because friendly fire and foul luck don't give you the luxury of staying still. You've been in the same hole for 3 days. It's not a foxhole anymore, it's a grave with ambition. 8 feet long, 2 feet deep, filled with sweat, rain, and water the colour of rust. You're curled at the bottom of it with Harris, a dead man's helmet and a growing collection of ants that don't seem to care who's winning the war. No one's moved much. No one can. The line hasn't shifted in over a week. Every time someone tries to move, a sniper reminds them not to. You've lost 3 guys to a single ridge with 1 Japanese marksman no one can find. They call him the Whisper. You've never seen him. Only what's left of the men he's hit. There's no battle here, no advance. Just a slow, grinding wait. The hill is dead, but somehow everything keeps dying. You press your back against the dirt. It's soft, cold, damp. You feel it trying to take you in. You're not sure how long you've gone without sleep. You close your eyes. They snap open 30 seconds later. Every sound, a branch creak, a distant cough hits like a bullet. You eat what's left of your rations. It's not food anymore. Just a packet of regret and stale peanut mush. Harris hasn't spoken all day. He just stares at the far tree line with his finger twitching against his trigger guard like he's keeping time. You whisper, "You good?" He doesn't answer. Just nods. Same nod he gave when you both watched Jacobs bleed out next to the latrine 2 nights ago. Same nod he gave when you found 3 GIs in a blown-out bunker, burned beyond recognition, dog tags fused to ribs. It's not agreement. It's acknowledgement. Yes, I saw it too. You glance at your boots. You haven't taken them off in, what, 5 days? 10? You're pretty sure your socks fused to your skin. Your feet stink so bad it's making you nauseous. You joke about it to Harris. He doesn't laugh. No one laughs anymore. They just make sounds that used to be laughter. You look up. The sky's back to that dull, unchanging grey. No planes today, no bombardment. Just the buzz of flies and the low hum of misery that's soaked into the soil like old oil. You pull your helmet tighter. Rain's coming, you feel it in your teeth. You were supposed to rotate back 2 days ago. New guys were supposed to come up and take your position. They never showed. Rumour says their transport got shelled. Rumour also says they're just too scared to come up here. You can't blame them. This isn't a battlefield. It's a cemetery that hasn't finished digging. The lieutenant shows up sometime in the afternoon. He crouches at the edge of the hole, mud up to his shins. "Hold this sector," he says. "Reinforcements en route." You ask, "How long?" He doesn't answer. Just vanishes back up the hill like a ghost in a uniform. You and Harris look at each other. No words. Just the shared knowledge that reinforcements are just another way to say, "Not today." You spend the next hour reinforcing the hole. You pack more mud along the sides. Tie a poncho over the top to keep the rain out. Stack 3 helmets along the rim as a joke. You call it the barracks. No one laughs. Night comes. You watch the trees disappear into black. That's when the shelling starts. Just one round, then another. Not close. Just enough to remind you the war isn't finished chewing yet. You hug your rifle like it's the only warm thing in the world. You rest your head against the dirt. It's cold, but at least it doesn't yell. A shape moves out beyond the wire. Too far to shoot. Too dark to see. You freeze. Harris sees it too. You both wait. The shape doesn't move again. Maybe a trick of the light. Maybe a ghost. Maybe one of them. You stay awake until dawn. When the light hits the trees again, you're still alive. And that's the most you can ask for. Still in the hole, still breathing, not winning, not losing, just waiting. Because that's what war turns into after a while. Not charge, not glory. Just dirt, silence, and holding on longer than the guy in the next hole over. The rain started last night. Now it won't stop. Not a storm, not a downpour. Just a steady, soul-draining sheet of misery falling from a sky the colour of wet concrete. It doesn't roar. It hisses. Like the island is whispering all its dead back to life. You're soaked. Soaked like the word means something new now. Your skin's wrinkled. Your uniform is glued to your body. Your rifle feels heavier, like it's drinking the rain with you. The hole you dug, the one you called the barracks, is now a bathtub. You bailed it out for the first 3 hours. Then you gave up. Because you realised something. The rain isn't going to stop. And neither is this war. You sit with your knees to your chest, arms wrapped around your legs like a prisoner in your own trench. Water up to your calves, leeches on your socks. Your boots haven't been dry in days. You take one off, just to check. What you see isn't a foot anymore. It's pulp, macerated skin, peeling, raw, grey where it should be pink. Smells like cheese left out in the sun. You gag. You put the boot back on, because there's nothing else to do. Harris is next to you. Blank stare, mouth shut, teeth clenched. He hasn't spoken since last night. The rain broke him. You don't blame him. This rain doesn't just fall. It gets inside you. It turns your bones to mud. Your thoughts to static. Your will to paper. There's a rhythm to it. Not fast, not slow. Just constant. And constant kills. You tried covering the hole with a poncho. It ripped. Then you tried propping up a tarp. The wind laughed and tore it down. Now you just sit in it. Let it soak you. Let it seep into your ears, your mouth, your memory. You close your eyes. You open them a second later. You thought you'd been asleep. You weren't. No one really sleeps anymore. Not when the rain sounds like footsteps. Not when your body thinks drowning is the most likely way out. Your fingers are numb. Your hands blistered. Your back aches like it's aged 30 years in 3 weeks. You think about leaving the hole. You don't. Because you know what happens when you try. Last night, Private Cullen tried to walk 20 feet to take a leak. He slipped. Fell. Disappeared into a crevice hidden under the ferns. They found his body this morning. Or what was left of it. Neck snapped. Face down in water 2 inches deep. Drowned by the island. Not by bullets. Not by bombs. By weather. The lieutenant tried to make a joke. Said, better than a sniper. No one laughed. Rain doesn't let you laugh. You look down the hill. The path that was once a road is now a river. Supplies can't get through. Rations are low, ammo's damp, and morale's dead, killed by a million drops of water wearing away everything you were. You hear someone sobbing in the next hole over, not loud, just quiet, wet whimpers. You think about going over there, You don't. Because you're not sure you wouldn't start crying too. And once it starts, you're not sure it'll ever stop. You see a body floating in a trench. Face down, helmet gone. No one moves to recover it. There's no point. There's no stretchers left. No dry blankets. No clean hands to carry the dead anymore. Just mud, rain, and more men pretending they're fine. Harris finally speaks. One word. Why? You look at him. He's not asking a question. He's just saying the sound. Because there's no answer. Why Okinawa? Why this island? Why this rain? Because someone drew a line on a map. Because someone said strategic. Because someone who's never seen this hill, never touched this mud, decided you needed to be here. You put your hand on Harris's shoulder. It's the only warmth you've got. He doesn't look at you. Just keeps staring at the wall of the trench like he's watching his own funeral in slow motion. The rain keeps falling. It fills your ears, your nose, your head. You think about home, about the roof above your bed, the dry towel in the bathroom, the way your mum would say, you'll catch cold when you forgot your coat. You think about how warm her voice sounded, and how cold you are now. You pull your collar up, not because it helps, but because it feels like doing something. You tell yourself it'll stop eventually, but the island hears you and laughs, because the rain doesn't stop on Okinawa. It just waits for your spirit to crack, so it can wash the rest of you away. It starts with a whistle. High, sharp, wrong. Your head snaps up. The sky is still grey, but now it's moving. Shelling coming. You dive instinctively. No thinking. No time. You hit the mud just before the blast. Boom. The ground kicks like a mule. Dirt and fire slam into your ribs. Your helmet rattles. Your ears ring. Harris yells something next to you. You don't catch it. You don't catch anything. Because suddenly, the air's thick with it again. Smoke. Screams. Salt. You know that last one because you're bleeding from somewhere and the taste is in your mouth. You spit. It's red. Not a good sign. You get to your knees. Wobble. Check your limbs. Still attached. For now. Another whistle. Another blast. You throw yourself into the trench. Land hard. Roll into a pool of mud and ash and maybe someone's insides. You come up coughing. Your rifle's there. Cling to it. Like it's an anchor in a sea made of madness. The trench is alive now. Men screaming orders. Men screaming names. Men just screaming. You climb out. Because you have to. Because the attack's here. You crawl up the embankment, every inch a gamble. The smoke is so thick it's like crawling through cotton soaked in gasoline. Your eyes water. Your lungs burn. Then you see them. Shapes moving in the fog. Japanese soldiers not charging, creeping. Silent. Low. Blending into the chaos like they were born in it. You shout. Pull the trigger. Fire 3 rounds. You don't know if you hit anything. You don't care. The ridge lights up. Muzzle flashes. Grenades. Yells that don't sound like words anymore. You see a guy you don't know take one step out of the trench and vanish in a cloud of red. No warning. No final words. Just gone. You reload. Drop the mag. Slap a new one in. Click. Bang. Click. Bang. Like you've done it 1,000 times. Because you have. Your shoulder screams from the recoil. Your jaw is clenched so tight your teeth might crack. Another wave comes through the smoke. Not a line. Not formation. Just shadows with knives. You swing your rifle up and fire. One drops. Another flanks wide. Harris spots him and cuts him down. You glance at him, nod. No words. Just that battlefield shorthand that says thanks for saving my life. The ground beneath your boots is sliding now, not metaphorically, literally. Too many shells, too much rain. The hillside's giving out under the weight of death. You dig in, fall to one knee, brace against a tree that's more splinter than trunk now. Above you are mortar whistles. Closer. You know this one's meant for your squad. It hits. The world goes white, then black, then silent. Your ears are buzzing, not from the noise, from the absence of it. You try to move, can't, then someone grabs you, drags you. You catch flashes, boots, mud, a torn sleeve. Harris. Of course it's Harris. He pulls you behind a slope, pushes a bandage into your leg. You hadn't even noticed you were hit. You scream, or maybe whisper. Your voice is broken glass now. He tightens the wrap, fires over the ridge, curses in a voice that's part man, part animal. You lift your head, see the hill again. It's on fire, literally. The shells ignited something, crates, trees, maybe the jungle itself. Flames licking through the smoke like teeth through cotton. And in the middle of it, men are still fighting, the stood still falling, still shouting names of people who won't answer. Your eyes blur. Could be smoke, could be tears. You wipe them. Stand! Harris shouts. What are you doing? You don't know, but you can't lie there. You raise your rifle again. Point it toward the fire, toward the screaming, toward the madness. Because this is Okinawa. And Okinawa doesn't end clean. It ends with smoke, screams, and the taste of salt in your mouth that lets you know you're still alive, but you're not the same. It's quiet now. That awful kind of quiet that only comes after something terrible. The kind that makes your skin itch because you know it won't last. You know the silence is just the part where the island inhales before it exhales fire again. But for now, it's still. You're walking through what used to be a tree line. Now it's just stumps, ash, and things that don't move anymore. Smoke clings low to the ground. It hugs your ankles like fog made out of ghosts. Harris walks a few steps behind you, dragging a shovel with one hand and holding his helmet in the other. He's not wearing it anymore. Says it makes his ears ring. Neither of you talk. No one does after something like that. There's no briefing, no plan. Just a quiet, unofficial understanding, time to collect the dead. You see them scattered like thrown dice. Some in trenches. Some still gripping rifles, some in pieces, and the smell it hits you before you're ready, like rotten meat wrapped in gasoline, like burned hair soaked in sewage, like death after it's had time to settle. You gag. You can't help it. No matter how many times you've smelled it, and you've smelled it a lot, your body never stops trying to reject it. You cover your mouth with a sleeve that already reeks of blood and oil. Doesn't help. You step over a boot. Just the boot. Still laced. The foot is gone. You recognize the uniform. You don't say the name. Because names start to mean too much out here. You start to carry them around in your head like stones. Eventually they pile up. Crush you. Harris starts digging. Small pit, shallow soil. He works quietly without asking whose body he's making room for. You find one near a tree. American, face down. Hands frozen in the dirt like you were still trying to crawl when it ended. You kneel beside him. Roll him over gently. The face is mostly gone. You check for tags. Nothing. You whisper something, not a prayer, not really, just something. Then you lift. Dead weight is heavy in a way nothing else is. Not just mass. Finality. You carry him to the pit. Lay him in gently. Harris doesn't look up. He just starts covering him. You both pretend he was someone else. The smoke stings your eyes. But it's not the smoke that's making them water. You blink it away, because the others are still out there. You find 2 more in a crater, one with a hole the size of a fist in his chest, the other missing half a head. You carry them anyway, because they carried you yesterday. You bury them too. You've stopped keeping track of how many. They blend together after a while, not because you don't care, but because your mind has to protect something. Harris wipes his forehead with the sleeve so filthy. Hey guys, imagine this. You're 20 years old, you've survived boot camp, maybe even a few island landings. But this one feels different. You're standing on the deck of a ship off the coast of Okinawa. It's April 1945. The air's thick with salt, diesel, and dread. You're squinting into the distance at a strip of land that doesn't look like much, but you already know it's going to kill tens of thousands. You're not seasick this time. That was weeks ago. Now, you're just hollow, sunburned, sleep-deprived, covered in grime that doesn't wash off even if you wanted it to. The guy next to you is smoking through cracked lips. Another is praying into his fist. You're just staring, waiting. Because this isn't just another island. This is the doorstep to Japan. And they're going to defend it like hell. You've got a pack that weighs too much, a rifle that still smells like rust, and orders that boil down to one word: advance. The ocean's calm, but you don't trust it. Nothing feels calm when you know what's coming. And what's coming is the most brutal, soul-draining, sanity-erasing battle the US has ever fought. This isn't a story about winning. It's a story about surviving. Barely. If you want more stories like this, hit like and subscribe. It helps us keep bringing them to life. Now close your eyes. You're not in your bed anymore. You're not watching a video. You're on a landing craft. And the island is getting closer. It's not making a sound. But it's waiting. And you're going straight into the worst 10 weeks of your life. You've never heard silence like this before. Not peaceful silence. Not the quiet of a chapel or a midnight field. This is before the storm silence. The kind that sits on your chest like a hand made of iron. You're packed shoulder to shoulder with men who look just like you. Tired, dirty, way too young to be marching into hell. Some chew gum, some fidget with their packs. One guy is tracing the shape of a woman's name into the grime on his helmet. No, you can't remember the last time you felt clean, or safe, or anything but waiting. Your boots are soaked in salt water and oil. Your fingers twitch around the grip of your rifle. You keep checking it even though you know it's loaded. It's habit now, ritual, the only control you have left. You've heard about Okinawa. Everyone has. They say it's big. They say it's different. They say the Japanese have been digging into it for years. Miles of caves, tunnels under hills, mortars in trees, snipers in the grass. They call it the Typhoon of Steel, and you're about to find out why. The landing craft shifts, the hull creaks. A voice barks an order above deck, too calm for what's about to happen. You know that voice. The calm ones always belong to the officers, the ones who stand behind you when the ramp drops. You shift your weight. Your gear presses against your shoulders like a jealous ghost. 80 pounds of ammo, grenades, canteen, rations, useless maps, a photo, some letters you haven't had the guts to read yet, all strapped to your spine like someone else's guilt. The boat slows. Your stomach tightens. 10 minutes, someone yells. No one answers. What would you even say? There's no music, no battle cry, no speech to fire you up. There's just the slosh of the sea and the pounding of your heart. You wonder if the enemy can hear it. This mechanical crawl toward destruction. You grip the side of the craft. It's warm, metal baking in the sun. You glance over at Harris, still alive, still beside you. He meets your eyes and gives the smallest nod. You nod back. That's how men say, if you go, I go. If I go, tell someone I didn't run. The boat lurches again. The water's too blue for a battlefield. Too clean. You almost want to believe it's just another beach. That this is just another drill. That in a few hours you'll be setting up camp. Maybe even smoking a cigarette and laughing about how tense you were. But then you see it. The shoreline. Green hills, rocky ridges. A village maybe, but no people. Just shapes, just shadows. Just things that could be waiting to kill you. And that's the giveaway. Because you've learned this. The enemy doesn't show themselves. Not at first. They let you come. Let you think maybe it's safe. And then they bleed you dry. You check your rifle one more time. You tell yourself it's ready. You tell yourself you're ready. But you're not. You never are. There's a clicking noise from above. Artillery setting up. Navy guns locking in. The big boys. You feel the tremble in your boots before you hear it. And when the shells hit, it doesn't sound like thunder. It sounds like the sky ripping open. Boom, boom, boom. Shells hit the shoreline in rhythmic destruction. The hills vanish under smoke and flame. You want to believe it's helping, that it's clearing the way, that there'll be nothing left alive when you hit the beach. But you know better. They're not amateurs. They're not running. They're waiting. 5 minutes, that one comes closer, louder, urgent. Someone crosses themselves. Someone else retches into their pack. No one says a word. You think about your mum. Her cooking, her laugh. Her hands always warm, always busy. You wonder if she'll know what happened to you if you don't make it back. If they'll tell her you were brave. If they'll even know your name. You pull your helmet tighter. It still doesn't fit right. Harris is muttering something under his breath. Filthy, it just makes him dirtier. He mutters, "You ever think about smell?" You nod. Of course you do. It's the one thing you never stop thinking about. It follows you. Sticks to your skin. Hangs in your clothes. Finds cracks in your soul and pours itself in like oil through broken stone. It gets inside your helmet. Your socks. Your dreams. You'll go home one day if you're lucky and smell it again. In the kitchen. In a dumpster. In a thunderstorm that hits just the right patch of soil. And it'll take you right back here. Right back to this moment. This heat. This silence. This hole you just dug with your own shaking hands. You look up. Across the ridge, a group of Marines is doing the same thing. No orders, no structure. Just a quiet shared agreement. These bodies don't bury themselves, and the smell won't go away until they do. You sit down beside the latest grave. Your hands are caked in mud. Your arms ache. Your back throbs like it's being held together by spite. You look at Harris. He's looking at you. Neither of you say it, but you both know this is the part they never tell you about. Not in the posters. Not in the training manuals. Not in the movies back home. The part where you spend more time burying your brothers than killing your enemies. The part where the thing that haunts you most isn't what you saw. It's what you smelled. You're staring at a hole in the ground. Not a big one. just wide enough for a man to crouch into. Limestone around the rim, dark, still, waiting. You shine your flashlight into it. It doesn't help. The beam gets swallowed after 6 feet like the cave just eats light. You know what's in there. Or rather you don't. That's the problem. Caves on Okinawa aren't caves. They're fortresses, bunkers, barracks. Death traps designed by men who knew the terrain better than they knew their own families. You heard one guy call it Hell's Basement. He wasn't wrong. The lieutenant gives the order. Clear it. You nod. Because that's all you do now. Nod and move and pray the next space isn't your coffin. You go in first. Harris follows. You don't talk. Your mouths are dry. Your ears are wide open. Inside it's cold. Not a refreshing cold, a wet cold. The kind that crawls under your skin and makes your bones feel like they're rusting. You duck low. Crouch as you descend. The walls are rough and narrow. The air's thick. You're already sweating again, even in the cold. The floor under your boots feels soft. You don't want to think about why. You take 2 more steps, then 3. Then the walls tighten. You're on your hands now, crawling. Your helmet scrapes rock. Your rifle drags through grit and ash. You hear something. Drip, drip, drip. Water. Maybe. Or blood. Or both. You reach a small chamber. Low ceiling. 1 lantern hanging on a nail. Still lit. Which means someone was here. Maybe still is. Harris covers the left tunnel. You move right. Flashlight up. Finger on the trigger. Your breath sounds like thunder in your own ears. You try to quiet it. You can't. Your heart's hammering so loud you think it might give you away. Then, movement. Just a flicker. A whisper of shadow across stone. You freeze. Raise your light. Nothing. You edge forward. Every step feels like a lifetime. You pass a pile of crates. Japanese ammo. You don't touch them. Could be rigged. Probably are rigged. The tunnel bends. Tightens. You step into another chamber flash. Gunfire. Close. You drop. Fire back. Muzzle flash lights up a face. Young, terrified Japanese, just a kid. Your round finds his chest. He goes down. Hard. You don't check him. You don't have time. More footsteps. More echoes. You fall back toward Harris. He meets you halfway, eyes wild. 3 more coming behind. You turn. Fire blindly. The rounds crack stone. Someone screams. You throw a grenade. No time to count. Just pull and toss. It bounces once, twice. Boom. The cave shakes. Dust pours from the ceiling like sand from an hourglass. You both drop to your bellies. The tunnel groans. A low, long moan like the earth itself is sick. You wait. You wait. You wait. Then silence. Not peace. Just lack of sound. You stand, cough, spit. Taste blood. Yours? You don't know. You move through the dust. The chamber's quiet now. Body's on the floor. You step over one. He's still twitching. You look away. You don't finish him. You just keep walking. That's when you find it. A hatch in the floor, hidden under debris. You lift it. Stairs. Wooden. Old. Leading further down. You turn to Harris. He shakes his head. Not today. You agree. Not because you're scared, even though you are, but because some places don't need to be seen. Not by the living. You backtrack. Pull a satchel charge from your pack. Wire it. Set the timer. You and Harris crawl out of the cave in silence. When you reach the mouth again, the sunlight burns your eyes. You didn't even realise how long you'd been underground. You shout, "Fire in the hole! Everyone ducks!" Boom! The hillside lifts, then settles. Dust and rock and ash pour from the entrance, sealing it, sealing them. Whatever was left in there, whatever was still alive, is now part of the rock again. You sit down. You don't speak. Neither does Harris. Because you both know what those caves are. Not just tunnels, tombs, filled with ghosts who still carry rifles, still whisper in the dark, still wait in silence for the next man dumb enough to crawl inside. You wipe your face. It's streaked with soot and sweat and something else you don't want to name. And you think, fighting on the surface is hell. But fighting underground, that's something worse. Because in the dark, you don't just fight men. You fight yourself. You smell it before you see it. The sting. That chemical bite that hits your throat and makes your eyes leak. Like someone set the air on fire. You wipe your sleeve across your mouth. Doesn't help. The flamethrower team's already moving up. 2 guys, big tanks strapped to their backs. No helmets, just raw eyes and steady hands. You don't envy them. Everyone calls them fire boys. But there's no boy left in them. You watch as they climb toward the mouth of the next cave, same as the last one. Small, quiet, waiting. Someone gives the signal. The team moves in. You crouch behind a broken slab of limestone, heart hammering, mouth dry. You've seen this before. You know what comes next. The guy with the nozzle takes a step forward. He raises the wand, pulls the trigger. Whoosh! The world erupts. A stream of fire spits into the cave, thick, heavy, sticky. Not a flash. Not a flame. Liquid. It hits the stone, then spreads. It doesn't burn. It devours. The cave lights up like a furnace. You hear nothing for a second, just the roar of napalm. Then the screams. High, human, real. Japanese soldiers inside, caught in it. Burning. Clawing at the walls. Some running out just to die in the open. One comes out on fire. Arms flailing. Face gone. The machine gun takes him down. Mercy, they say. He was already dead anyway. You sit there, frozen, staring. You fired rifles, thrown grenades, watched men die by inches. But this is different. This is final. You feel something shift inside you. Not guilt, not sadness. Just quiet. The kind of quiet you don't come back from. The fire fades. Smoke rolls out of the cave like a sigh. The flame team steps back. Tanks half empty, eyes still blank. They don't speak. They don't have to. They just nod. Move on to the next one. You stand. Your legs feel wrong. Shaky. Hollow. You look into the cave. Everything's black. Charred. Melted. No screams now. Just the crackle of flesh that used to be men. You wonder what they were doing 10 minutes ago. Writing letters. Praying. Laughing. Now they're ashes stuck to stone. You hear the lieutenant bark orders? Clear the site, mark it. Someone sprays a red X on the cave wall, you don't know why. No one's coming back here. There's nothing left. You walk past the team. The guy carrying the tank looks at you. Not angry. Not proud. Just done. He lights a cigarette off the hot tip of the nozzle. You try not to stare. You keep moving. The next cave's just ahead. You don't ask what's inside. You don't want to know. You just step over the blackened ground. The rocks are warm under your boots, like the earth is still cooking. You pass a tree half burned. still smoking. You touch it. It crumbles under your fingers. Everything here turns to ash. You realise that's the point. The flame doesn't just kill, it erases. No trace. No face. No chance to be remembered wrong. Just fire. And the silence that follows. That night, Harris says nothing. You both sit in the dirt back to back, watching the sky change colours behind the smoke. You don't sleep. You can still hear the screams. Still feel the heat on your skin. You wonder if it'll ever leave you. You already know the answer. Some things cool, some things fade. But fire brands. The mail came in today. No ceremony, no trumpet. Just a tired corporal with a canvas sack slung over one shoulder and mud up to his knees. He walks the line like he's handing out verdicts. One by one. Name, letter, move on. You weren't expecting one. But you got one anyway. You don't open it right away. You just hold it. It's small, thin, familiar. It feels wrong in your hands, too clean, too white, like it doesn't belong in this place where everything is soaked, stained and dying. Harris gets one too. He doesn't even glance at it. Just folds it into a pocket and goes back to sharpening a knife that hasn't seen action in days. You sit down, back against a rock that smells like wet metal and old smoke. You stare at the envelope. The return address reads, Mum. Just that. No name. No state. Like the letter came from heaven, maybe purgatory. You open it. The paper's still dry somehow. You unfold it carefully, like it might crack in your fingers. It starts with your name. Not your rank. Not dear son. Just your name. And then words. Soft ones. The kind you haven't heard in months. Updates about the garden. The neighbours. Your little sister's school play. She says they painted the porch. Says the radio played your favourite song. Says your dog still waits by the door every night. It should make you smile. It doesn't. You feel like you're reading someone else's life. Some other version of you living on a timeline that didn't get swallowed by Okinawa. You look up. Smoke on the horizon. A crater to your left. The half-charred frame of a helmet buried in the mud. You glance down at the letter again. One line stands out. We're all so proud of you. You read it twice. 3 times. You mouth the words like a prayer. But it doesn't land. Not here. Not with what you've done. Not with what you've seen. You fold the letter. Put it back in the envelope. Slide it into your jacket pocket like a keepsake from a museum. Then you just sit. For a long time. Harris breaks the silence. What's yours say? You shrug. Home stuff. He nods. Then adds, it doesn't feel like they're real anymore, does it? You pause. No, you say. Feels like a dream someone else had. He grunts. You watch him toss his letter into the fire. It curls, cracks, turns black. Gone. He doesn't blink. You don't judge. You almost do the same. But you stop yourself. Because even if the words don't feel like they belong to you anymore, even if the world they describe as a fiction now and they're proof that world still exists, somewhere, beyond the noise, beyond the dirt, beyond the smoke, you lie back, look at the sky, starting to change colour again, orange at the edges, like rust, or blood under a microscope. You close your eyes, try to picture home. The kitchen, the porch swing. Your mum's voice calling your name through the window. But all you see is this ridge, this dirt. This place where time has stopped and memory bends like heat off the barrel of a gun. You don't cry. You don't sigh. You just hold on to that letter like a rope tied to the world. Even if the rope is frayed, even if no one's holding the other end anymore. It happens fast. Too fast for orders. Too fast for thought. Just instinct and fear and something deeper. You're crawling through what used to be a rice paddy. Now it's mud, blood and shrapnel. Ahead, a bunker. Half covered by debris, half swallowed by the earth. Intel says it's been abandoned. You know better. You can feel it breathing. Harris gives you the nod. You both move. Rifle up. Step slow. Everything in your body screaming not from pain but from knowing that. Knowing what's inside. Knowing what it's going to cost. You reach the entrance. It's dark. Quiet. You toss in a grenade. Wait. Boom. Then nothing. You step in. It smells like dust and cordite and old sweat. Then you see him. A Japanese soldier. Maybe 17. Maybe younger. Hands up. No weapon. Eyes wide. Bleeding from the leg. He's not moving. Just sitting there. Shaking. Mouth whispering something over and over. You don't speak Japanese. You don't need to. You know what it is. A prayer. You aim your rifle at him, and then you don't pull the trigger. Because something in you hesitates. This kid isn't fighting. Isn't charging. He's already lost. You glance at Harris. He shrugs. Up to you. That's what he says. Like you're flipping a coin. But this isn't a coin. This is a life. You look at the kid again, and you know if you let him go, he might come back tomorrow. He might crawl to a rifle. He might sneak out at night and slit someone's throat. Or maybe he won't. Maybe he'll die of his wounds before sundown. Maybe he'll never move again. You don't know. You can't know. You just stand there, finger on the trigger, sweat on your brow, heart doing a drum solo in your chest. The kid says something again. Quieter now, eyes pleading. You think of the letters from home, of your mother writing about porch swings and pie. You think of your lieutenant talking about rules of engagement, about clean kills and justified force. And you think about the guys you buried last week, the ones who hesitated, the ones who thought too long. You inhale, you exhale, you make a decision, and no one's going to give you a medal for it. Not for what you do next. You raise your rifle, you pull the trigger. One shot. No echo. Just silence. The kid slumps. Still. Done. Harris doesn't say anything. You don't either. Because there's nothing to say. You leave the bunker. The sun is out now, mocking you with how bright it is. How normal everything looks. You light a cigarette. Your hands are shaking too hard to hold it steady. You don't finish it. You toss it into the dirt. Watch it hiss and die in a puddle of rainwater. You think about what you just did. Not as an action, as a weight. You try to measure it. You can't. Because it doesn't fit into boxes like right and wrong. It just is. Part of the war, part of you. And that's the part no one pins a medal on. The part where you kill because maybe, just maybe, not killing would be worse. You look at your hands. Still dirty. Still shaking. Still yours? You're not sure anymore. Okinawa doesn't bleed. It devours. It takes everything you give it. Men, machines, prayers, silence, and swallows it whole. And you? You're just the latest offering. You're on a ridgeline that used to be a village. You know this because there's a pile of stones nearby that might have been a wall or a well or someone's front step. There's a shoe too, small, leather, child-sized. No foot inside, thankfully. This place, it had a name once, but it doesn't anymore. Nothing does after a while. Names don't matter here. Only coordinates. Only kill zones and fallback lines and how many men you've got left to hold them. You walk down the slope. Your boots sink deep into mud that's darker than it should be. Because it's not just mud. It's mixed with oil, blood, ash, bits of canvas, bits of people. You pass a Sherman tank turned to scrap metal, blackened, split open like a fruit with its core ripped out. No one's touched it. No one wants to. It's part of the island now. Just another rusted rib in the spine of this battlefield. Flies swarm around it. Buzzing, constant. You swat one away. It lands on your lip. You slap it. Too late. You taste rot. You spit. It doesn't help. You keep moving. Past foxholes caved in by rain. Past ponchos tied to sticks that mark graves already forgotten. Past barbed wire tangled in tree roots that used to hold fruit. Nothing grows here anymore. Not food. Not grass. Not even hope. Harris catches up to you, boots squelching. He doesn't speak. Just nods toward the hilltop. You both know what's up there. Another body. Another collection. You find him half buried, face down. Looks American. Could have been from your unit. Could have been a replacement no one met before he got torn apart. You try to turn him over. He's stuck. The ground's gripping him like it doesn't want to let go. It never wants to let go. You dig with your hands. No shovel. No finesse. Just grit and fingers and the hope you can lift something out of this nightmare. When you finally get him free, he comes loose with a sound you'll hear in your dreams for years, like tearing wet paper, like a soul snapping. You lay him flat. There's no face left. Helmet gone. Dog tags melted to the collarbone. You don't recognise him. You don't even look for long. Harris hands you a tarp. You wrap the body. One more for the logbook. One more for the island's teeth. You look around. All the craters. All the wreckage. You realise Okinawa isn't a battlefield anymore. It's a mouth. And everything inside it is being chewed down to nothing. Men get buried. Then dug up. Then buried again. Sometimes on purpose. Sometimes because the next shell hit too close. Even the sky feels like part of it now. Always grey, always pressing down, like it's trying to crush the whole island into silence. You sit on a rock that used to be part of a school wall. You can still see some writing etched into it. A name, maybe, or a lesson. You can't read it. You don't try to. You're too tired to care. Everything gets erased here. Not just people. Meaning. You light a cigarette. The flame barely stays lit. You breathe in. The smoke tastes better than the air. You look at Harris. He's not looking at anything. Just staring into space like the island already got part of him and is waiting for the rest. You think about what you've lost. Friends. Sleep. The ability to be surprised by anything. And shoes. You've gone through 3 pairs. Each one gave out faster than the last. Because the island doesn't care if you're new or old, armed or unarmed, brave or broken. It eats you. Slow. Steady. Bit by bit. Until one day there's nothing left. No tags. No bones. Just a name on a list. If you're lucky. You crush the cigarette under your heel. It hisses. Sinks. Gone. Like everything else. You don't know what day it is. Could be Tuesday. Could be Sunday. Could be the 4th of July for all you know. But there's no fireworks here. Only flares, only tracer rounds, only skies that light up for the wrong reasons. Your calendar's long gone, burned, soaked, forgotten, and even if you had one, you wouldn't trust it, because days don't exist here. Just light and dark, boom and silence, alive and not. You used to mark time, scratch it into your helmet, little lines for every sunrise you managed to crawl through. You stopped, somewhere around day, 36, maybe 40. They all started to look the same. And when everything looks the same, mud, blood, sweat, smoke, you stop asking when. You only care if you'll see the next light, if the next step will trigger something, if the next breath will be your last one with lungs intact. You see a guy chewing gum next to a crater. He asks, "Hey, what's today?" You shrug. He nods like that's an answer. It is. You've been here so long your boots are rotting. Your socks have merged with your skin. The uniform smells like a locker full of meat and regret. And still no end in sight. They said this would be quick. 2 weeks, the captain said back on the boat. Maybe 3. That was whenever. Could have been March. Could have been May. All you know now is now. Because that's the only time the war lets you have. No future, no past. Only whether or not the next minute kills you. You sit in a dugout eating the last of a ration bar that tastes like chalk dipped in motor oil. Harris is sleeping beside you. Or pretending to. Hard to tell anymore. Guys don't really sleep. They just switch off for a while. Like radios with half-dead batteries. You check your rifle. Again. You're not expecting anything. You just need something to do. You clean it with a cloth that used to be your undershirt. It's stiff with grime. Smells like rust. You whisper to yourself. Not words. Just sound. Because silence feels louder now. You think about home. Try to picture it. A clock on the wall. A radio playing the news. People saying things like, Monday morning. It doesn't make sense anymore. Because here the sun doesn't mean morning. It just means you survived the night. And night doesn't mean rest. It means watch duty. It means listening for footsteps that aren't yours. You don't dream anymore. You black out. Then come back. Your body resets. Your mind doesn't. You hear someone shout, "Mail's in!" A couple guys cheer. You don't move. You already read your last letter 10 times. The words were thin. Started to feel like a story written for someone else. Someone clean. Someone whole. Someone who still believed the days mattered. You light a match. Let it burn down to your fingertips. Watch it die. It's the most structured thing you've seen all week. Flame, heat, smoke, end. That's something you understand. You hear someone trying to mark time. I think it's been 2 months, they say. Someone else says 3. Another guy shrugs. What difference does it make? No one argues, because it doesn't. You stop counting, because counting means hoping, and hoping gets you killed. You just keep moving. Shift to the next ridge. Dig the next hole. Patch the next wound. All while pretending the clock isn't broken, even though you know the truth. Time doesn't pass here. You do. You don't hear the snap when it happens. Not at first. Not from yourself. It's subtle. Like a wire stretched too tight. A breath held too long. Then it just gives. And suddenly everything inside you feels loose. Like your bones are made of wet rope. Like your thoughts are scattered pages caught in the wind. You're sitting in a foxhole. Same one you've been in for Who knows? You haven't moved in hours. Haven't wanted to. Rain's stopped. Sky's clear, but you're still soaked somehow. Still cold in a way the sun can't touch. Harris is asleep beside you. His mouth's open. His fingers twitch. You're not sure if he's dreaming or dying. You watch a beetle crawl across your boot. You let it. Because even that feels more alive than you right now. A voice calls out in the distance. Your name, twice. You don't answer. Not because you don't hear it, but because answering takes effort, and effort is in short supply. You used to jump at your name. Used to be alert, sharp, ready. Now, you hear your own name and think, who's that? You blink. The world shudders. Not from shells. From you. Like your eyes can't quite agree with your brain anymore. Like reality's starting to slip around the edges. You rub your temples. They throb. Like someone's beating a drum inside your skull with broken fingers. The radio crackles. Orders. Regroup at Sector 2, perimeter compromised. Move out now. You stare at it. Then switch it off. You're not disobeying, you're just done. There's a difference. You stand slowly. Your knees don't bend right. Your back complains. Your rifle feels like a stranger in your hands. You walk without purpose. Through mud. Through wire. Through smoke that isn't there anymore. Every step is like dragging a corpse behind you, but the corpse is you. You pass a tree. You've seen it before. Only now it looks like it's watching you. You shake your head. Keep moving. You find another Marine sitting in a trench, eyes wide, mouth open, murmuring a name you don't recognize. You ask, "You good?" He doesn't blink. Just says, "It's all circles." Then starts laughing. Not loud, not hysterical. Just soft, slow, broken. Like a clock ticking wrong. You keep walking. Because if you stop, you're afraid you might start laughing too. Or worse, crying. And once it starts, you know it won't stop. You come to the edge of a cliff. No more wreckage. More craters. More nothing. You sit. Let your legs dangle. Think about jumping. Not to die. Just to feel something. Then Harris shows up. He says nothing. Just sits beside you. His eyes are glass. His hands are shaking. But he's here. And for some reason, that helps. You both just sit. Quiet. Two men held together by dirt, duty, and the thinnest threads of sanity. He finally says it. "I think I'm breaking." You don't answer. Because you don't want to lie. And the truth is, you broke yesterday. Or last week. Or maybe the day you stopped caring who you shot, as long as they stopped moving. But you're still here. Still breathing. Still putting one foot in front of the other, even if it's in a circle. That's all that's left, really. Not victory. Not purpose. Just continuing. Even when your body's empty. Even when your brain's gone fuzzy. Even when the part of you that was human is hanging on by a single fraying thread. Because if you stop now, if you lay down, you know you won't get back up. You look at Harris. Put hand on his shoulder. It doesn't fix anything. But it's something. And in this war, something is a hell of a lot better than nothing. Sometimes they just disappear. Not in a blaze of gunfire. Not with a scream or a bang or a heroic last stand. They're just gone. You wake up and the guy who was in the foxhole beside you isn't there anymore. No blood. No gear. No note. His rifle still leaning against the wall. Half-eaten ration bar still on a rock beside his helmet. Like he stood up and walked into the jungle and never looked back. You ask around. No one saw him leave. No one heard anything. You check the surrounding area, nothing but footprints that vanish into a thicket. You stand there staring at the brush. It's quiet. Too quiet. Like the trees swallowed him whole. And you wonder, did he snap? Did he run? Did he walk into a cave and lie down? Or did he just decide he didn't want to be part of the war anymore? You don't know. You'll never know. And that's worse than death. Because with death, at least you get a body, a tag, a name to write on a list. But this is just absence. And absence sticks with you. You sit back in the foxhole and look at the spot where he used to sleep. There's still an imprint in the dirt. Still smells like his sweat. Still feels warm. And it hits you he was just here, laughing yesterday, complaining about the rations, telling you about a girl back home who rode him every week. Now he's air. You don't tell command. You don't bother, because they'll just mark him MIA and move on. One more ghost. You've seen it before. You remember Carter? He stopped talking one day. Just stared into the middle distance. Didn't eat. Didn't blink much. Next morning, gone. Never found a trace. Or Mickelson. Went out to relieve himself. Never came back. You searched the whole sector. Even risked a patrol past the ridge. All you found was his helmet half buried in the mud. No blood. No sign of a fight. Just a helmet. And a hole where a person used to be. Some guys say the jungle takes them. Others say they head into the caves to finish it on their own terms. A few whisper that some of them walk straight into Japanese lines, unarmed, hoping it'll all be over in seconds. You don't know what to believe. You only know this. The longer you're here, the more of them vanish. Not just physically, mentally. You've seen the lights go out behind a man's eyes. 1 minute he's shaving, joking, tossing cards. Next, he's staring at his own boots like he forgot how they got there. You try talking to them. Sometimes they respond. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just smile. That's the worst. The smile that says, I'm still here, when the rest of them is already gone. And you can't save them. You can't even follow them. Because once they go, whether into the brush or into themselves, they don't come back. You ask Harris, you ever think about leaving? He doesn't even look at you. Just says, all the time. Then adds, but I'm scared I wouldn't be able to come back, even if I wanted to. You nod, because that's the real fear. Not dying, not even snapping, but vanishing. Becoming a memory with no ending. A sentence with no punctuation. A story that never gets told because no one knows how it finished. That night you lie awake, one eye open, finger on your rifle. Breath slow and shallow. You hear a twig snap, then nothing. You check. Everyone's accounted for. That doesn't mean anything, because out here vanishing doesn't always mean walking away. Sometimes it means going inward. Sometimes it means you're still there. But you're not there. Not really. And the scariest part? You feel it creeping in your own chest. That pull. That weight. Like the jungle's whispering to you. Go missing. No one will notice. Just one more shadow in the fog. You close your eyes tight. Dig your boots harder into the dirt. Grip your rifle like it's a rope tied to reality. Because you're still here. Still trying to be here. And that has to count for something. You've been limping for 3 days. Not badly, just enough. Enough that no one says anything, but they notice. You tell them it's nothing. Just a twist, a bruise. Got it crawling through a trench, or maybe jumping from a blast. The truth? You don't really remember. It just started hurting one day, then got worse. Now it feels like something's tearing every time you put weight on it. But you don't stop, because stopping means seeing the corpsman. And the corpsman means getting pulled. And if you get pulled, you leave the line, leave your squad, leave Harris. You don't know where you'd go: a tent, a ship, a clipboard. All you know is you wouldn't be here. And the worst part, you're not sure if that would be better or worse. So you fake it. You take shallower steps, shift your weight, pop a few pills from a cracked bottle someone passed around without labels. You lie. Say, I'm good. Say, just saw. Say, happens to everyone. Harris doesn't ask, but you see it in his eyes. He knows. He just knows better than to bring it up. Out here, pain's just another part of the gear. You wear it like a helmet. Strap it on, keep moving. Your hands are worse. Calluses split open. Fingers swollen. One nail is turning black, probably dead underneath. You ignore it. Wrap it with dirty gauze. Tuck it in your glove. Tell yourself it doesn't matter, because everything hurts now. Your back's stiff. Your knees pop. Your shoulders ache like someone tied weights to them. But you've stopped keeping track, because pain has categories out here. Sharp pain, probably shrapnel. Dull pain, maybe a sprain. Throbbing pain, just part of being alive. Then there's the deep pain. The kind that feels like it's not coming from your body but from underneath it. Like your bones themselves are tired. That's the worst kind, because you can't tape it, can't bandage it, can't numb it with pills or jokes or cigarettes. It just stays, like a second heartbeat that reminds you you're breaking, slowly, quietly, but definitely. You watch a guy 2 units over collapse during a patrol. Just fell face first into the dirt and didn't move. No gunfire. No wound. Just collapsed. Dehydrated. Malnourished. Maybe both. Maybe more. They carried him out on a stretcher. He was crying. Not from pain. From shame. He kept saying, "I'm sorry," over and over, like quitting was a crime. No one said a word, but you all thought the same thing. That could be me. You check your leg again. It's hot now, swollen, red, stinks a little. Could be infection. Could be nothing. Could be the start of something that ends in an amputation. You don't care, because you're not going to the medic. Not yet. Not until it gets worse. Not until it's unbearable. You think of the guys who did go. Half of them never came back. Not because they died. Because they got moved. Filed. Forgotten. Once you leave the line, you're just a name on a clipboard. A body on a cot. A whisper in someone else's foxhole. So you pretend. Pretend the limp is normal. Pretend the headache isn't growing. Pretend the fever isn't there. You drink more water. Smoke more. Sleep less. You pretend so well sometimes you forget it hurts. But then you try to run and your body reminds you. Try to crouch and your ribs lock up. Try to lift your rifle and your fingers twitch too slow, and you realise you're not pretending anymore. You're just breaking quieter and hoping no one notices. Secure the ridge. That's what they said. Simple. Clean. Military. You repeated it yourself like a spell. Secure the ridge. Secure the ridge. Like saying it would make it easier. Make it real. Make it doable. Then you got there, and the ridge was on fire. Not figuratively. Literally. Smoke thick enough to bite. Corpses already waiting. Machine gun nests dug so deep the barrels barely peeked out, and you realised that order was a lie. Not on purpose. Not malicious. Just dumb. A sentence written by someone who wasn't here. A fantasy passed down like a baton from desk to radio to mouth to you. Now you're sitting in a crater, shoulder to shoulder with Harris, blood on your sleeve, dirt in your teeth. And that ridge, still very much not secure. You've learned something out here. Orders are fiction. Reality is mud. Reality is death. Reality is not knowing whether the man next to you is going to scream, cry, or snap in the next 10 minutes. They told you the enemy was contained. You believed them. Then a grenade rolled into your trench yesterday, followed by a kid no older than your cousin. He was screaming. You shot him twice. You didn't have a choice, but afterward you didn't feel victorious. You felt tired. Then someone came over the radio again. All clear in Sector 3. Another lie. You were in Sector 3, and it was anything but clear. That's when it hit you. There are orders, and there's truth. And between them is you. Stuck. Bleeding. Trying to make one fit the other without breaking completely. The brass says advance. Your legs say, I can't. The brass says enemy neutralized. Your eyes say he's still breathing. The brass says minimal casualties. Your hands say I just buried 5. And still you follow the orders. Why? Because you have to. Not because you believe them. Not because they make sense, but because if you don't, the whole machine falls apart. And maybe that's the biggest lie of all, that the machine ever worked in the first place. You sit with Harris after another failed push. He's got a cut above his eye. Dried blood caked into his eyebrow like war paint. He's muttering under his breath. You ask, what are you saying? He says, trying to remember the lieutenant's last order. You say, why? He shrugs. So I know what to ignore next. You both laugh. It's not funny, but it's true. And truth is rare out here. More rare than ammo. More rare than water. More rare than rest. You think about the way they phrase things on the radio. Allied units are engaging. That means someone's dying. Enemy resistance has been disrupted. That means they moved, not stopped. Victory imminent. That means someone, somewhere, needs the paperwork to look good. So you stop listening to the words. You start listening to the tone. If the voice is calm, things are probably worse than you think. If it's panicked, it's already too late. And the real truth? It's in the faces. In the 1,000-yard stares. In the hands that shake when the guns stop firing. In the way no one flinches when the ground explodes anymore. You follow orders because it keeps you moving. But you follow your gut because it keeps you alive. When the lieutenant says, take the ridge, you nod. But inside you're thinking, take what you can, leave what you must, and survive the rest of us. That's your order now? The one you wrote yourself. Because no one else is writing it for you anymore. You hear it echo across the line. Your name. Not your rank. Not hey you, not Marine. Your name. And for a split second it doesn't register. Like someone calling into an empty house. You turn, slowly. Not because you're lazy. Because that name feels distant. Like it belongs to someone else. Someone cleaner. Younger. Alive in a way you're not anymore. The guy who shouts at Rodriguez, maybe. Waves you over. You nod. Walk toward him. But inside you're thinking, that's not me anymore. Not the name. Not the history attached to it. Not the memories it used to unlock. Back home, people said it with love, with warmth. At the dinner table, across the yard, from a second-story window when you came home late. Now it's just a noise. Sharp. Used. Like a knife someone forgot to clean. The name follows you everywhere, now shouted, barked, printed on tags, scribbled on rosters. Every time someone says it, it grates, like dragging metal across bone. Because the person they're calling doesn't exist here. Not really. He died somewhere between the beach landing and the first time you had to shoot someone up close. Now there's just you, the version that walks, shoots, reloads, sleeps in short gasps, and forgets what normal feels like. Harris still uses your name. Says it when he's checking in. Says it when he's scared. Sometimes it sounds right from him. Sometimes it doesn't. You tried saying your own name once. Out loud. Alone. It felt fake. Like trying on someone else's coat. Doesn't fit. Smells like memories you don't want anymore. You remember writing it on the inside of your gear just in case. So they'd know who to send home. It's smudged now. Faded. A few letters rubbed out. Feels about right. At mail call, the corporal reads names like a man digging up bones. When yours comes up, he doesn't even look up. Just tosses the envelope toward the dirt. You pick it up. Stare at the handwriting. Your name written in blue ink. Curved letters. Gentle. From a time when people said it because they missed you. Now people say it because they need you. To move. To cover. To take point. To hold the line. Your name has become a command. Not a person. You think about changing it. Even just in your head, start going by something else. Something clean. Untouched by all of this. But what would be the point? You're not going back to who you were. That guy's buried under 100 layers of mud, fear, and choices you'll never talk about. That guy got left behind the first time you stepped over a friend who wasn't breathing anymore and didn't stop to cry. That guy is a story. You are a result. You sit on a crate watching smoke curl from the treetops. Someone calls your name again. You flinch. Not because it's loud, but because it hit. Right in that part of you that remembers the sound of it from a safer time. You don't answer. You just look. And that's enough. Because what else are you supposed to say? Sorry, that guy's gone? No one wants to hear that. Not out loud. So, you keep carrying the name. Old armour. Too tight, too heavy, but necessary. Until the war ends. Or you do. Whichever comes first. You used to care about staying clean. Shower every morning. Neatly folded clothes. Shoes lined up by the door. Even in boot camps, spit-shined boots, crisp lines, white socks, sharp corners on your blanket. Now your socks haven't been dry in 3 weeks. Your fingers are stained with oil and gunpowder. Your teeth feel coated with sand. There's something black under your nails that won't come off no matter how hard you scrape. You stop trying. Out here, clean is a fantasy. You're soaked in sweat most days. Rain the others. If you're lucky, just blood you can identify. The rest of the time? Who knows? You wipe your hands on your pants, doesn't help. Just spreads the mess around. Your rifle's the same way. You clean it every day like you're supposed to. Break it down, wipe it out, put it back together. But no matter how much you scrub, there's always grime in the corners. Always gunk in the bolt. Always that oily film on your palms after. You used to think that was the job cleaning the weapon, keeping it sharp, professional, reliable. Now you realise the cleaning isn't for the gun. It's for you. A ritual. A way to feel like something can still be made right. even though you know it can't, because nothing out here is clean. Not the ground you walk on, not the food you eat, not the air you breathe, and definitely not the kills. You hear them talk about clean shots. One bullet, quick, humane. But that's not what happens. People don't die clean. They scream, they twitch. They try to hold their insides in with shaking hands. You see things you can't describe, not because they're too graphic, but because they don't make sense. A man missing half his head, still walking. A body burned so bad it smells like rubber and bacon. Flesh that doesn't look like flesh anymore. You see it and you don't flinch. That's the dirtiest part. Not the blood, not the pus, not the way the flies always find the softest parts first. It's the part where it doesn't bother you anymore. You see a guy choking on his own tongue, and your only thought is, do we have time to move? You wrap a tourniquet around a leg that probably won't be there in an hour, and you don't feel sad. You feel efficient. And then you realise you've gone past clean, beyond it, under it, buried in something too deep to scrub off. You used to dream about getting home. Hot shower, clean clothes, sheets that didn't smell like mildew and gun oil. But lately, you're not sure a shower could fix what's wrong. Because this kind of filth isn't just on your skin. It's in you, in the way you think, the way you look at other people, the way you hear a gunshot in the distance and relax because at least now it's not silent. You sit with Harris, sharing a can of something that tastes like metal and regret. He says, I had a dream I was at a sink. You look at him. Washing my hands, he says, just over and over, but they never came clean. You nod. You don't need to say it. You've had the same dream. Maybe everyone here has. Because the war doesn't just stain your clothes, it stains your soul. And no soap in the world can reach that deep. There's no such thing as quiet anymore. Even when the guns stop. Even when the shells take a break. Even when the sky holds its breath and the dirt settles just long enough for you to think, maybe it's over. Even then, it's not. Because the sound is inside you now. Not out there. In here. In your chest. Behind your ears. In the back of your teeth where your jaw clenches too tight every time someone steps on a twig. You remember what silence used to sound like. Back home, it meant peace. Stillness. Crickets at night. The hum of a fridge. A car passing 3 blocks away. Now, silence means something is about to happen. You've been trained to fear it. Because if you can't hear anything, it's because something's waiting. Watching. Breathing just below the surface of the jungle. So you fill the space with noise. You click your helmet strap over and over. Tap your fingers against your rifle. Whisper to yourself. Hums. Words. Names. Doesn't matter what. You just need sound. Because when it gets truly quiet, the war finds you. In your ears. In your head. It starts with ringing. Not loud. Just a mosquito buzz you can't swat. Then comes the pounding. Heartbeat in your skull. Like your brain is knocking, trying to get out. Sometimes it's memories. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just echoes of screams, of fire, of a name you can't forget but don't want to say out loud. Harris says he hears drums at night. Not music. Not tribal. Just dull thuds. Like someone beating the earth with slow, methodical fists. You don't question him. You hear things too. Voices mostly. Your mother's. Your brother's. The sergeant who died 2 weeks ago. Sometimes they call your name. Sometimes they don't say anything. Yeah. Just breathe. You try earplugs once, tore them from a first aid kit, shoved them in, sat still. Didn't work, because the sound wasn't coming from anywhere. It was coming from you. So now, even when things are calm, no gunfire, no shouting, no orders, you don't call it silence. You call it waiting. Waiting for the sound to come back. Because it always does. Rockets. Bursts. The snap of rifles cracking the sky in half. The pop of a body falling apart. You can't sleep without it now. That's the worst part. When the world goes too still, your mind starts to fill in the blanks. Phantom bangs. Imaginary footsteps. The deep wet sound of something too close and breathing through its teeth. You lie in the dirt, staring at the canopy above, hoping for thunder, praying for wind. Anything to cover up the war that's still playing in your head like a record with no off switch. When it is quiet, really quiet, that's when you realise the war isn't just around you. It's in you, etched in the marrow, spinning behind your eyes, drumming in your spine. You stand up, walk toward Harris. He's sitting against a rock, rubbing his temples. You don't ask what he hears. You just sit beside him, and for a while neither of you says a word, because you both know it's still playing. The war. The part that never, ever stops. You tell yourself you'll remember everything. Every name, every face, every moment. You swear you will. Because they matter. Because they deserve it. Because if you forget them, then who won't? But war doesn't work like that. Okinawa doesn't let you choose. Some memories stick like blood on your boots. Others slip, quietly, without a trace. You remember the guy with the harmonica? Played it every night before watch duty. What was his name? Bennett? Or maybe Reed? You try to see his face. All you get is a shape, a silhouette against smoke. Then gone. You feel guilty about it, because you remember the sound of him dying clearly. The scream, the gurgle. The way his body didn't stop twitching even after you looked away. But the name? Faded. Like a note that didn't hold long enough. You remember the way Johnson smelled after 2 weeks in the same socks. You remember the stupid joke Harris told you while you were digging a trench under artillery fire. You remember the exact number of bullets left in your magazine right now. But you don't remember what your dad's voice sounds like. Or what colour your front door used to be. Or the name of your high school principal, even though he wrote your letter of recommendation. You tell yourself it's the stress, the trauma, the noise. But part of you knows you've traded those memories, like chips in a game you never agreed to play. You gave them up without meaning to, so you could hold on to the things that kept you alive. Angles, escape routes, the feel of your rifle's safety, the way dirt shifts when there's weight behind it. You don't dream of home anymore. You dream of trenches, of boots with no feet in them, of eyes that never close. You once swore you'd write everyone's name in a notebook, carry it with you, etch their stories into paper. But the notebook's long gone, burned, soaked, buried, like the rest of them. You try anyway, in your head. You whisper names under your breath. A roll call for ghosts. Some you get right, some you know you're botching. Doesn't matter. You say them anyway, because it feels like the only way to honour anything anymore, even if no one's left to hear you, even if you can't remember their birthdays, or hometowns, or who they were before the uniforms. You do remember the last things, the final looks, the way someone's hand reached for yours even after the life was already leaving their eyes. Those images are sharp, perfect, filed in the front of your skull like they're afraid of being forgotten. You think of home again. You try to remember what your room looked like. All you see is your bunk here. All you feel is the damp of the Okinawan dirt under your spine. You've been here too long. You've become this. Place. This weight. This version of you. You wonder what you'll remember if you make it out. What stories you'll tell. What lies you'll keep because the truth is too dirty to speak out loud. You wonder if you'll ever forget the sound of flesh hitting stone, of boots sliding in blood, of the first time you shot someone and didn't feel a damn thing. You wonder if you will become one of the things someone else swore they'd never forget, only to lose the memory anyway. And then it's over. Not with a bang, not with a speech, not with anyone shouting, "We won." It just stops. No more shelling. No more radio crackle. No more orders that sound like riddles sent from another planet. Just wind, birds, your own heartbeat loud in the vacuum. You wake up expecting more of the same, but something's wrong. Too quiet. Your fingers go to your rifle like always. Still there. Still loaded. But there's no one shooting. You crawl up from the foxhole. No smoke. No bodies. No movement. Just the jungle, breathing. For the first time in months it feels alive again. Like something just got lifted. You glance at Harris. He's awake too. Looking around like a man who's forgotten what peace looks like. You say nothing. Because you both know what this means. And you're not ready to feel it. Not yet. You walk through the position. Guys are up but no one's talking. They're just there, standing, staring. Not cheering. What would they cheer for? The silence? The way everything suddenly feels? Wrong without the sound of dying in the background? You sit on a rock and take off your helmet. You haven't done that in weeks. The air touches your scalp. It feels foreign. Too light. You run a hand through your hair. It's stiff with dirt. Mats of sweat and time. You think about shaving it all off. You don't move. Harris lights a cigarette. His hands are shaking again. Not from fear, from not knowing what to do now. You know the feeling. The war was awful, but it had purpose. Structure. Noise. Now there's just you. And all the parts of you that don't fit together anymore. You think back to the first day here. Your pack was heavy. Your boots were clean. Your eyes were wide. You thought you knew what fear was. You didn't. Now your boots are half mud, half blood. Your pack is torn. And your eyes, they don't open the same way. You hear someone laugh. Not a joke. Just the sound. Nervous. Lost. Like a machine still running after the factory shut down. You look around at your squad. Not a single man you came in with is unmarked. Scars. Bandages. Crutches. Some of the worst damage you can't see. It's behind the eyes. In the way they flinch at shadows. In the way they stare too long at nothing. You walk to the edge of the ridge. Below silence. No mortars. No flags. No movement. Just Okinawa, scarred and still. Like it finally got full. After all that eating, you sit down, legs hanging over the edge. You think about going home, what that means, what that feels like. You don't know. You imagine the ship, the journey back. The sound of a city that never got shelled. The smell of fresh bread. The taste of coffee not stirred with a rifle barrel. But then you think, will you even know how to live there anymore? Where's the foxhole in a grocery store? Where do you set up a perimeter on a front porch? How do you explain why you haven't slept more than 2 hours without jolting awake? How do you explain the silence that followed you home? You pick up a stone, turn it in your fingers. It's smooth, warm from the sun. You think, this was here before the battle. It'll be here long after. You place it in your pocket, a piece of the island that didn't scream. Behind you, Harris sits beside you. Neither of you speaks. You just sit. Two men in the absence of war. Not healed, not whole, just here. The silence isn't comforting. It's loud in its own way. Like the pause before a question you don't want to answer. But it's yours now. You made it through. And that has to mean something. Even if you don't know what yet. Even if the silence never really leaves. And maybe that's where we leave it. Not with fanfare. Not with flags. But with a name carved into memory. A silence earned. And the kind of story that doesn't get told in history books, but in the pauses between gunshots. In the glances between broken men and in the dirt still clinging to their boots. If this story reached you if you felt something tonight, consider subscribing. These aren't just war stories. They're human stories. And I'll keep telling them one at a time so you never forget what it cost to survive. Thanks for listening. Get some rest. We'll talk again soon.